Franklin, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority.
7:07 with the Morning Majority. Coming up 1 hour from now, John Funn, senior editor of the American Spectator, will be here. Also, Larry Kudlow at 8:36. Susan Ferrechio joins us now, chief congressional correspondent for the Washington Examiner, and a woman who is very excited because her New England Patriots are in the AFC Championship game.
Thank you very much.
I just had to put it out there because I know that excites you. So I'm sure you watched the debate last night, the showdown in South Carolina. Any game-changing moments for you last night?
Well, first of all, I think it was the nothing to lose debate, because these guys, these other than Romney candidates, this is really their last chance. People feel like if Romney wraps up South Carolina, he's going to blow them all away in Florida and then pretty much steamroll ahead to the nomination. So South Carolina is sort of the place where some of these lower-tiered candidates who are more conservative have a chance to knock him out, or at least in South Carolina, although he's well ahead in the polls. So that's why you saw, if any of those out there who watch the debate, that's why I think you saw real aggressiveness that you normally don't see with some of these candidates like Rick Perry, who, people are saying, geez, if only he could have been performing like this at the past 14 debates, then things would be different. So in terms of an overall game changer, you have to just look at the poll numbers. You can't change the game when it's set the way it is right now, unless there was a real unbelievable moment where Romney just blew it. And there wasn't. He started off shaky, I thought. They came after him really hard in the beginning, Newt Gingrich and Rick Perry, on his record, on his not filing his tax returns publicly, on Bain Capital, how many jobs were lost when he ran Bain Capital and took over all these companies and closed them. So Romney definitely sounded a little bit weak in the beginning, but then as the debate went on, I thought he recovered nicely. It managed to sort of transition the conversation into, let's talk about the Obama administration failures, and he recovered, I thought. So nothing really game-changing for Romney, other than now he's sort of cornered on the tax returns. Mm-hmm. And we'll have to see if he really does release them in April. I interpreted what he said, which was really gibberishy, that he is. I mean, you had to use your secret decoder ring. So, okay, now let's see. What did he really mean? I think he meant to say, yes, I'm going to do it when it's most politically expedient for me. And that's probably in the spring when he has the nomination locked up. Yeah, right. So that's the way. So the game change would have been if Romney did something to knock himself out of first place, and he did not. Now, Newt Gingrich had a great night. He had the audience behind him at full force, and he got a standing ovation. And he managed to knock down all the questions, all the tough questions, like the one about, his comments on how young people should be going to work as janitors, and Juan Williams asking him if this was belittling the poor. He knocked that one out of the park and had the audience on their feet. I mean, that's about as good as it gets for a candidate in a debate. And but he was in friendly territory, as was Rick Perry. This is South Carolina, so more conservative, more pro-military. These are places where they're really going to be supportive of candidates like Gingrich and Rick Perry, and they showed it, no question about it.
I guess the bottom line is, can two really outstanding, so say Gingrich does really well in the next debate this week, can two really outstanding debate performances this week, when everybody sort of has debate fatigue, move the needle enough to matter?
Well, if you look at some of the poll numbers, Romney's ahead, but Gingrich isn't doing so badly either. So, it's possible. Let's see if he could inch ahead enough, and if Romney really stumbles badly in the next debate, I wouldn't rule it out. It's South Carolina. This is not home turf for Mitt Romney politically. So anything is possible to remove the inevitable title that's before his name as a candidate right now. So, yes, I think watching the next debate is going to be really important to make sure, things he can hold steady where he is right now, and that Gingrich doesn't knock him down. The thing is, they've used almost all the lines that they can against Romney at this point. We've heard the Bain Capital over and over and over, and now the tax returns, which Romney is semi-settled, though he could have done a much better job of it, obviously. So I think, you wonder, how far this can go in the attacks on Romney, and I can almost guarantee you in the next debate, his advisors are going to make sure that he is, in better fighting form when he talks about his record again, because he did sound a little bit shaky. So if you can call this a practice run in the next debate, probably expect a stronger performance by Romney.
All right, Susan, your job is normally to cover Congress, and as Will Rogers said, that's a good thing because those boys need a lot of watching. That's back when there were only boys there. Let me ask you, though, about this. And there have been a lot of talk about how some members of the Republican Party in the House are not very happy with their leadership about the way things ended up before the holidays. What are you hearing about that? What is likely to take place? And isn't there like a big gathering of Republicans from the House later this week?
Well, there's going to be all kinds of interesting things coming up for various conversions of different factions in Congress. You have the Republican conservatives who are going to have a retreat and talk about their agenda and what they want to do in Congress. And you're going to have the various retreats of the parties at the beginning of each session. And we're now starting the second session today in the House. Each Congress has 2 sessions. The Senate will return next week. So what you just mentioned earlier, Brian, is that there are a lot of conservatives who are thinking that things did not go the way they wanted in their first year, especially the freshmen here. The cuts were not deep or significant, and they felt like the cutting was sort of sidelined, that they made all these attempts at cutting, and they didn't make any real cuts. And now what we have coming up this week is a vote by the Congress to disapprove the next debt ceiling increase. The country runs out of borrowing authority pretty soon. Again, we're at about $15 trillion. Well, President Obama now needs more money, and he's going to ask for an additional $1.2 trillion. And, a lot of the conservatives are like, wait a minute, we're giving more borrowing authority. We haven't cut any money yet.
Weren't they specifically upset, though, about the way the payroll tax thing ended over in the House?
Oh, absolutely. And first of all, the payroll tax cut for them was supposed to be a far different, they had envisioned something completely different, first of all, and that the House Republicans had asked for a full year, and then President Obama said, no, let's just do 2 months. And they were fighting over it, and then finally, basically you had the Republicans had to cave in and do the 2-month extension, which is what happened. Now they're coming back now, and they're going to have to do what's called a conference, where the House and Senate get together, and both parties have to come up with a plan to extend that for a year, as well as unemployment benefits and that Medicare doc fix that everybody talks about all the time. That's going to be really tough because that expires in February, and so if they don't do anything by then, here we go again. Another one of these, what's going to happen, at the end of February, then the payroll tax cut will expire, everybody's taxes will go up, unemployment benefits, it's the usual, ticking time bomb, and now Congress will have to get together and work out both those sides by February, basically.
That's right.
It's already middle of January.
No, the tricky thing about those 2 months extensions is that they go quickly.
Yeah. That's right.
It's right
here they are again.
All right, Susan, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.